Hello, internet friends. Is this thing working? Because I'm on a different setup right now. I'm using one of the proper streaming devices, not devices, platforms. I can see all your comments up on the screen over here. It's kind of cool. Let me know. Either that or I'm talking to no one right now. Okay, cool. Well, I'm just going to, it always takes me a second to get settled because it's an experience. Oh, Indy, not the squeaker, please. Hello, Marie. Great to, oh, and Winston's mom, hello. All right, the crew's all here. We're ready to go. I have plenty of caffeine, as is necessary for such an event. Hello, Crystal and internet friends. Great to see you. It's been a long time since I've done a stream, so wow, that's so crazy. I can see. I wish you guys could see. I have a high-tech thing going on right now. I'm impressing myself. Then nothing's gone wrong yet. But I hope the white balance doesn't look like. Okay. So we have a few games today. We have Hot Seat. I don't know if we played that one before. We might have. We have If You Had To. We have an old favorite, We're Not Really Strangers, and we have I Descend, which is the last one I think I played on the stream. Pretty sure, yeah. So we can play some of those. Like I said, coffee. And let's see, what's everyone saying so far? Oh, what was the name of the lizard? There was a few good INFP suggestions. Let's see, what was the one that most people went along with? King Gizzard, Eric the Omnipotent, Pubert. There was a bunch of good ones. But do you know what? I haven't seen him since 2 or 3 days ago. So either he has gotten back out into the wild or he has sadly met his demise. So may he rest in peace if that were the case. I did leave out a little dish of water though, just in case he was hoping he could get that. Hello, friends. Give some examples of TE usage during childhood. It's interesting because as we grow and develop our regular brains, we also develop our own cognition and proficiency in our own functions. So as a child, what way would have extroverted thinking really manifested the most? I don't know. I'll have to kind of think of that one a little bit because there was a lot of, okay, so like there was a lot of figuring out in my childhood. For instance, someone had given me a video camera and no one told me how to use it. I figured out how to use this video camera. I was 7 years old or something like that. Then I started making stop motion videos, which was another thing that I have no idea how I learned to figure that out, or that was even a thing, or I don't know if I even knew that it was a thing. But I decided to make that work to come together, and then I would create these stop motion videos with toys. That's what I would do for hours. So there's definitely some TE in that. Rip, possibly. Let's see. Oh yeah, INTJ thinking and its habitat. You know, I know when I am thinking about something like intently, I will kind of like do the upwards gaze out. And I do it a lot more often than I realized because I've had a few times when friends were just like, One time someone just took a video of me and they just sat there with the camera until I like came back out of it, and they're like, "What were you just doing for 45 seconds?" And I was like, "I was thinking." And they're like, "Well, why do you think like that?" And I was like, "Well, how does anyone else do it, you know?" Thoughts on TI, introverted thinking. I mean, TI also has a lot of thoughts and opinions. So what do you want to know about TI? Because I'm sure I can whip something up for you. Introverted thinking is, so thinking DOMs in general, the energy will go two ways. So extroverted thinking, it's very much focused on the integration. Introverted thinking is very much built on stacking upon its knowledge that it has already built for itself. What's that? Can you guys hear that? It sounds like someone's about to chop a tree down. Okay, well, we're just gonna continue going. What are some types you tend to gravitate towards in friendships? On accident, I found myself leaning into particular personalities over others. I think that the NFPs tend to find us and pull us out of our little INTJ holes. And so I find them befriending me, I think, more than the average person. I tend to, I guess you could say, select out. My one friend in high school was an INFJ, and I didn't know that till after, because I didn't know anything about type in high school. But now looking back, I was like, oh, you know, very clear INFJ. And so it was really easy to get along with her. NJs, I think, in general are pretty easy. So let's see. Sound like a T-Rex. All right, Indy, you know, okay. So Indy wanted to say hello to the people of the internet. This is especially for Winston's mom, who always wants more background. So we're still not convinced that Indy is a real dog. It's up for debate. I thought that at one point he was an actual toy, because his legs don't seem real, right? That doesn't seem real. Is this real sensory? Nobody knows. Okay, so anyway, yes, he's a very lovely dog. So, all right, let's whip up one of these cards, see what we've got here. Hello, Juliet Ferry. Okay. All right, so this is interesting. I guess you guys answer on my behalf. So what do I do that my parents would be surprised to find out? What do I do that my parents would be surprised to find out? It's a great question. What would my parents be surprised to find out? I think they would actually be surprised at actually how little sleep I end up getting on a weekly basis. They probably wouldn't be that happy about that either. You make NI connections. Well, my dad's an INTJ, so I think he would pretty much understand that. My dad and I understand. My dad understands me pretty well, so he would probably get the NI thing. People are asking about NI-FI loop. What was the original question? Something NI-FI loop. I don't see the regular question. I do have this thing where I can pull up the question, so I will do that next time. Yes, my mom is an ISFP. But she would be surprised you don't know. Your mom is also nice. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't even have a shower curtain, actually. She might not even know that. All right. So, you can either answer for me or you can answer for yourself. The question is, who would I have the hardest time living with? Who would I have the hardest time living with? Or who would you have the LiJo in front of your answer for me, if you're answering for me, or you can just write your own. But who would I have the hardest time living with? You can make that a type-based question, which is interesting. See, I'm an INTJ. What do I do to express my feelings more often to the one I love without being uncomfortable? I think the biggest thing about expressing your feelings without feeling uncomfortable is to accept the fact that feelings are part of the human experience, and they're not as, that your biases are lying to you, saying that this is weird for you to have feelings or to feel chemicals, but it's not. So you have to reverse brainwash yourself to say, you know, look at all these other people in the world not getting weird about feelings. This is definitely a bias that I possess, and it's normal. So let's see. ESFP, some people are saying ESFJ. Yeah, ESFJ would be a difficult one for me. Just because I don't think I could pace well with an ESFJ, and I think that I would end up kind of being the lamp in the house that like no one knows where to put it, you know, if I was living with an ESFJ. Let's see. Your sister's an ENTP and you're an INTJ. Do I ever envy stupid people? Well, in the sense that ignorance can be very blissful. But you know what the thing is I think that everyone still has their own thing that torments them. But if you're, in quote, stupid, it's going to be something else. Like, it'll be like a fear of something that's like completely irrational or something like that, you know? But I think everyone deals with their own stuff. And so I don't think even the stupid people get off the hook. Do INTJs get along with ESFJs? I mean, I will try to get along with anyone just because I don't want to not get along with anyone. If that makes sense. Like, I don't want to have to deal with someone's emotional issues if I can prevent it. So I'd rather prevent it. But that being said, there's some people that are just easier not to be around because it's too much energy for you to put out there into the world. Let's see. Do you think, look, technology, folks. I think INTJs are more likely to be child-free by choice? I mean, I would say yes for myself. I mean, obviously yes for myself, but thinking of the rest of the humans, I think it's one of those things with NI, you're very much looking at, okay, what all does this entail? Raising a human, it is not a quick experience. It is an 18+ year experience that has all kinds of repercussions. Financial, sure, there's happiness too, but there are so many things that are involved in that process of making that choice. So I think for a lot of INJs, it's not a simple choice because we're very much seeing all the interconnectedness of what that choice entails. So yeah. Okay, now how do I make this? Can I make it go away now? Okay, well, I'm learning. Oh, there we go, okay. Let's see. Impressive, yes. Yeah, it's a really important decision. Exactly. And I respect every decision that I make. So yeah, it's like if you're going to make the decision, you better run the simulation multiple times. How much are parents affecting the type of their children? I mean, I do believe that type is tied to genetics. So I think you can either get a kid that is being pushed more into a growth mindset or is not. And I think that depends less on the parents' personality types and more on their parenting style. I think that one of the worst things that you can give to a kid is a very entitled, privileged life in which they're handed things, because then they're just going to be completely ill-equipped to deal with the real world. And that can turn out so many ways that are really so much worse for your kid than if you just allow them to learn for themselves and like take the blows for themselves and learn what life is really about, you know? Thanks for saying I'm doing great. You know, I truly have a time trying to like warm up into these streams, but it does get easier as we go along. Let's see. Yeah. Jen says that INTJs might be more likely to be kid-free due to values like environmental impact load on the planet. Yeah, I have considered that too. And I've also considered that like, okay, at the rate your things are going, how much does a person actually want to be born into the world now, you know? So that's also a consideration. So what contrasts an NITE INTJ versus an NIFI INTJ? So what you're talking about here is basically the difference between me and Dave Powers, because Dave is an NIFI and I am the NITE. So Dave is very much more driven by his own FI in terms of motivation. So he's more reactive to the things that are hitting his like versus dislike button. And he is more also driven to do the things that he likes, or he's tuning into that axis more with the FI first. So he's more conscious, he's more aware, he's more processed of his own internal world. And so you will see him doing less of things just for the sake of appeasing people and more just based on what he thinks is important for the situation. So for me, I will try to keep a more level playing field because I don't want to deal with the emotions of myself or other people. So you'll see more from myself. I will avoid certain things just because I don't want to deal with the human chemicals. Dave is less, cares about that less. So, but at the same time, very similar cognitive direction. All right. Hey, man, Cracker, what's up? All right, let's see. Aha. These are questions I can answer. See, okay, so secret to my streams is I just have all these boxes of things just in case people don't ask questions, and then I can ask you questions. So I'm always prepared with a thing. Where's my coffee? Okay. All right, so can you talk about the difference between masculine SE and as a demon and feminine SE as a demon? Yeah, so demon feminine SE means that you have masculine NI at the top. Demon feminine SE means that you are going to very regularly blow through the physical world, be out of touch with it for the sake of what is solid to you, and that is the masculine NI destination. So I will, oh gosh. So, okay, something I did this morning, which was just ridiculous, is I bought a bag of pistachios and I was like, this is just a demon feminine sensory just ism, but I bought a bag of pistachios that were salt and vinegar, delicious. And I opened them and I was like, these aren't as seasoned as I would expect them to be, right? I just opened it, put some in my mouth. And then in my head, I was like, well, if you shake it, then if there's more seasoning in there, it'll get on there. And so I just turned the bag over to get more of the seasoning on there. They just went all over my car, the whole bag. And it's just like this disconnected nature where everything almost feels liquid with the sensory. Anyway, with masculine sensory, you're more likely to bump into the sensory and have to move it, fix it. And then the feminine NI on that axis will be more movable. Like the goal can kind of be shifted. You can kind of change routes based on the masculine sensory, which is hard and solid and real. Feminine sensory is like, no, I'll blow through the mountain to get to the other side if that's the fastest way to get there, which has its own set of issues. So, all right. So Andrew asked, can an NI-DOM have masculine SE demon? Yes. So your demon functions can either be feminine or masculine. The only thing is it operates the same way as a coin. So if you have masculine NI first, you have to have feminine SE last. You can't have a masculine N and a masculine S. It doesn't work that way, just like heads and tails. Okay. So Eric says, this is a great question, that he's usually an ENFP in the morning and an INTP in the evening. How can he master his function so he can always be both? Well, I mean, clearly you already have extroverted intuition, so you're basically halfway there. Now, the only thing you're gonna have to do is just, really sacrifice the things that mean a lot to you, and just tell people how wrong they are in different facets of life. And then somewhere in there, just this mesh will happen, and and you can just kind of be an ENFTP, which is clearly the best type, and not enough people are talking about it, so they really should. Let's see. Okay, now, oh gosh. See, now when there's more comments, this thing is kind of indie. Stop it. Okay. What determines if NI-DOM is masculine or feminine sensory demon? The difference between the sexual modalities with the N and the S is, so the sexual modalities are tracked based off basically the affect of the person. So that's where things will look different. So you could have a double feminine NITE, which will look different than a double masculine NITE. Again, it's coming down to the affect and how they're addressing the real world with the physical world, with the sensory, and the extroverted decider, which is either TE or FE, how they're dealing with people. So it would really be tracking how that person is interacting with the world. Are they shoving on the physical world, metaphorically, or are they more movable with the physical world and more strong with the destination, which would be the NI? It's a little piranha. Hey. What? All right. See, like, I have a real entertaining streamer here, so now I need to pick up my game more. I'm just not as good at it. Okay. Okay, what is this? So C.S. Joseph told me I need to read some books to understand this. Can you write me a book to explain it to me? No, that's why I have YouTube videos, and how YouTube videos have transcriptions. So just use that transcription tool. It's excellent. That's what I would recommend. And I have a free PDF of Carl Jung's Psychological Types where he talks about the functions. So if anyone wants that, let me know. I'll send it to you. All right. Grab the cereal box. Yeah, I did bring snacks. So I have these called Dragon Crisps to match my red light in the background. And apparently my mouth is really a bit too dry to be able to chew these properly right now. No. Wow. Wash it down with some caffeine, folks. Ooh, dopamine. I think people, I think people can easily mix up being high dopamine with actual feelings. Dopamine is really interesting. So is serotonin. Not everyone's hormones react in ways that provide like consistent, not everyone's body produces them the same way or at the same rate. So for instance, I'm someone who does not really produce or hold very much serotonin. I'm a very normal individual, normal person. I just have, if when my serotonin is tested, it's like minuscule, non-existent. Dopamine, on the other hand, is wonderful. Coffee gives me some dopamine. Always makes me drink more. Dopamine. There's actually a song I was listening to the other day that had dopamine in it. It was a jam. Go get a soda. Oh, actually, I do have I have 3 beverages right now just because I need to rotate. There's water on the floor. We have coffee, and then we have Liquid Death. Murder Your Thirst. It's sparkling water. But wow, is it refreshing. Thank you, whoever told me to drink liquid other than coffee. All right. But if I make all my unconscious conscious, then I'll lose the mechanism by which I take control of my life. Nobody has control. Or do we? Or is it perceived control? These are all for you to decide. Tips to break the NIFI loop. I would say time and probably doing something for someone other than yourself. It's kind of easy to get in that cycle of self-loathing and or simulating the emotions that will be a result of something that's coming up. That's where it'll kind of hit me. But if you kind of pull yourself back into TE by doing something that is working with something outside of you in the environment that can kind of push you to, Andy, come on, dude. That can kind of push you to get out of it, at least temporarily. So. Let's see. Oh, I think INTPs are better at chess. You know, I've actually met quite a few very good NE chess players. I think both NE and NI can be good. I mean, anyone can be good at chess, right? But like, I think NE and NI can excel in it. NE, I think really where their strength is that they can almost be more creative in the moment as they're reacting to another person's move. So like, yeah, okay, ideally, you know all the possibilities of where someone could move to, right? And then you're kind of planning your way to get to check. But what I'll see the NE users doing is they're kind of more fluid with how they're looking at the actions of the other player. And sometimes they can actually be better because they are they're actually channeling more creativity in the moment as it applies to the game. And sometimes NI can just be too kind of set on like their direction, and sometimes that direction needs to move a little bit more. So. All right, let's see. Yeah, I think both NI and the STPs too, they can be good as well. And actually, STPs can be really good at poker too. All right, let's see. Oops, nope, I hit the wrong one. Here we go. All right, how would you describe your dynamic with SE DOMs? Pretty dynamic. I guess it really depends on the situation and what the environment entails the interaction be. With SE DOMs, what I find is that I feel very slow. And it's funny because with a lot of things, okay, so with the higher brain powered things that are kind of in my box of understanding, I can be very fast at those. Like if it's in my wheelhouse and like, I can just, or if it's like, if I can apply a concept of something I already know to it, I can kind of get through it really fast. But in terms of like the consistent grind of like doing things, I just feel so slow compared to SE DOMs. And they've called me slow too, which is something I was like, wow, I haven't been called out as being slow all that often, but especially the STPs. They'll be like, okay, what's changed? What's different? Why is this the same? And I'm just like, I was planning to, like, now I know how to go and approach it, but yeah, I haven't actually physically done anything yet. That's okay, it'll come. Okay. Interesting question. I've heard INTJs struggle with standardized tests. Is this true? So I did okay in the standardized test just because I kind of figured out my way to study best for them. The part that was hard for me with the standardized test was anything that had to do with like a lot of reading. I'm just a very slow reader if I really need to comprehend what it's saying. I can skim through something just as fast as the next person, but if I really need to understand all of the words and like, I'm just a slow reader. So those sections in tests that were standardized that had a lot of reading were really hard for me just because I read slow. Just a little slow. We're all a little slow in some area though, right? Oh yeah, Eric and I do like to talk poker, but it's funny because whenever like he's streaming or something like that and he's talking about poker and I'm the only one commenting on like, oh yeah, like we're the only ones in the conversation. Everyone else is just like, yeah, can you go back to extroverted feeling already? So I don't know if there'd be much of an audience for instance, Mom, that's all I'm saying. Indy, stop it. Okay, let's see. Ghost of Young is here. Hello. Do you think INTJs have certain gestures, hand movements, facial expressions that make them easy to spot? So here's my thoughts with this. I think that there can be trackable similarities with how people access information in their brain, and that can be displayed by how we use our body. However, I think that people can be accessing a different kind of information and reference it in the same area on the body or in the same direction on the body. And so if you were to be tracking gesture alone without cognition as like, as a cross check, I think you could get it very wrong. However, if you are, I think it's interesting to reference both, but at the end of the day, I go with the cognitive direction over the direction of the hands or whatever else they track. So, okay. Elijah has the same exact body language as my INTJX. Why is she your ex? Is it because she was a portion of the day? I didn't look you in the eyeballs enough. So I mean, I've been guilty of that. So. What is my body language saying? You know what, Eric, that's a great question, because I've actually been wanting to study more about not body language as it relates to cognition, but body language as it relates to perception. And I think that's going to be one of my new wormholes that I go into at some point this year. But I think it really is interesting. So for instance, back in the day when I had first started my channel, I had the camera up really close and you really couldn't see. I mean, it was too close for comfort. But whatever, I didn't know anything. So I didn't realize that people perceived trust more when they could see your hands and see the palms of your hands. Trust me. So, you know, I learned about that and I was like, oh, I should scoot my camera back more so like more of me is visible. And I did that. But I think there's a lot of interesting things like that as it relates to perception of people that is worth kind of, it's just interesting and worth looking into if it's for no other reason than to, if you have to pull out the tricks one day for some reason, you got them in your back pocket. Andy, please don't knock over my coffee. Please. That's all I have. Body language is gradient in inertia, very NI. Indy, stop. Okay, so now it's my chance to ask you guys a few questions. Here we go. Okay, if you had to choose between these two, if you had to choose between there are swarms of spiders living in your house, or you have to carry a drunk leprechaun in a front-facing backpack wherever you go, which one would you choose? I think I would definitely choose the, well, if it was the swarms of living spiders in the house, I would probably just move. Or, no, but the thing is, like, if you had to choose and deal with one of those. I mean, probably the drunk leprechaun. All of the NTPs or the NFPs would just be very into that. Or the drunk leprechaun probably is one of those two types, actually. I like to think about it. Everyone say leprechaun? Yeah. All right, so if you had to, ooh, interesting. If you had to either sleep in a bucket or only tell the truth, which would you select? Sleep in a bucket or only tell the truth? All the TI users are like, what do you mean? I already only tell the truth. Unless it's like they're being nice, but or sleep in a bucket. But the thing is like, okay, if you're really locked into those options, only telling the truth, I think, has a higher severity of getting you into trouble with, I think that could lead to more serious life-threatening issues than the sleeping in a bucket. It would have to be a big bucket though, because I mean, I can't fit in a small bucket. I've tried, and there's just so. Oh wow. All right. So. All right. Oh man, that's a hard one. Okay, sorry. I know I'm reading these without like bringing you to the loop here, but okay. Oh, okay. All right. So you had to choose between these two. Assemble an entire warehouse of IKEA furniture, or bathe every morning with a fire hose. Which would you select? Assemble an entire warehouse of IKEA furniture, bathe every morning with a fire hose. Hands down, would pick the fire hose. IKEA furniture, assembly, reading the directions of, oh, you put this kind of washer on this little tiny screw, 1A, 3C, and then you take this one that looks just slightly different and put it on 2C4, and they look literally like the same thing. Oh, you put this one in this hole, but no, don't push it in all the way because we can make sure that they're all in there first, and then you can put it in this section, but don't put on this section because we have to put a drawer. No, I will happily bathe every morning with a fire hose instead of putting together 2 more pieces of IKEA furniture. One I could probably tolerate, but like no more than that. I've already destroyed. Well, I destroyed one really big piece of IKEA furniture that my mom sent me when I was in college as a bookshelf. I rubber malleted the wrong piece into the wrong hole, and then I couldn't get it out, and the whole thing was trashed. But I didn't really want the bookcase anyway, so it was okay. Would I rather spend all day TEing or 15 minutes essaying? The latter. TV doesn't have a fair shot. Yeah, I could see that being true. Yoshibug says, I would never step into the backyard to bathe with the fire hose. What's in your backyard? What would be in your backyard that would be preventing you from bathing with the fire hose? Or what if the fire hose was in your bathroom? What if you just fed that thing through the window, you know? Because you don't have to go outside. Just stick it through the window. Put it on low. This is Indy. Oh, it's a good boy. Are you fake or are you real? Still not sure he's not a real dog. Where's the lizard? All right. Indy passes the FE check. Yes, can you please stop looking at me? He does pass the FE check. He's very good at the FE. Oh, public indecency. Well, I guess if your backyard is very public, then that could be a Indy? No, go. It's just like the constant like licking. Attention. I love him, but the thing is he's doing this because he knows I'm talking to someone that's not him, and he's jealous. He'll do this anytime I'm talking to a person on the internet. Gets extremely jealous, basically has a temper tantrum. Oh, that's inappropriate. All right. Let's see. All right. Ooh. Yeah, okay, I'm done with these. This is causing me too much mental distress. Oh, here's a good one for, all right, so you can either answer this for me or you can answer it for you. If you're answering it for me, denote LiJo in there. But my face is on the cover of a cereal box. What is the slogan? Again, you can either answer it for me or for you, but if it's for me, just let me know. It's for me. My face is on the cover of a cereal. What's the slogan? And what kind of cereal box would I be on is the bigger question here. Grape nuts. I don't know. I'm a big granola fan. Probably granola. Let's see. These cards. LiJo's intellectual cereal. The cereal that will make you smarter when you eat it. Start your day off with some NI and TE. Don't forget to drink your almond milk at the bottom, because that's where all the good stuff settles. Hello, cereal friends. Actually, I mean, I could see it happening. Do I think INFJs are really rare? Here's my answer. I don't believe any of the polls that are actually taken have any kind of accuracy. So I think INFJs might be on the lower end, but I don't think that they're necessarily the most rare. Nor does it really matter. So, Indy, stop, go. You need a TE supplement. I mean, I could definitely formulate something for you. Aha. Don't be stupid. Take brain power. All right. Stop Schrodering. I can't even say that. Stop Schrodering your cereal would be your slogan. The cereal is both digested and undigested in the box before it is opened. Schrodinger cereal. Have I met other INTJ females frequently? The only other INTJ female that I've met probably in like the past that I've really like met and have gotten to know in past, like possibly, oh, hello, you know, is where I used to live. There was a girl who lived like on the 6th floor and had moved in, and literally her nor I talked to each other for 6 months, 7 months. But then like eventually we kind of are like, hey. And then slowly like said a few more words to each other like each time. Ended up like we were extremely similar. She was also an INTJ. But it was just so funny how like neither one of us wanted to talk to the other human. So that being said, it's kind of hard to meet not only other INTJs, but just other people in general. I ain't room in this town for two INTJs. I mean, yeah, that's why when people are ever like, oh, my INTJ and INTJ relationship, I'm like, look at that one. I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with myself. That is way too much. Kind of crazy. I mean, sorry, I have to sit on a pillow, otherwise I sink into the couch. Yeah, Eric has a sense of humor. And Eric is also an ENTP, so don't let him fool you. Okay, so on to the next one here. All right, here we go. What simple task am I surprisingly bad at? I feel like I actually have probably a few of these. What the heck? Okay, there we go. What simple task am I surprisingly bad at? Either answer it for you or answer it for me. What simple task am I surprisingly bad at? Sharp objects. Correct. I've been banned from knives before. The best last year was when I just tapped a huge cutting knife off the counter. It fell right on the ground. I didn't have shoes on. Thank goodness it hit my foot with the blunt side down. It still like split my foot open, but if that had been the blade side, would not have been good. But yeah, I have a lot of sharp objects, negative experiences. Yeah, I would agree. Not a lot of people are romantically attracted to their own type. I think a lot of times when people think that, it's actually not the type they think it is. Cooking anything. You know, I have my system for the foods that I cook, and those are pretty good. But if it was like, oh, you have to cook the other thing is like I don't eat meat or dairy, so I wouldn't be able to cook that stuff either. I know there's like probably temperatures to like cook a chicken at, or temperatures to cook a this, that, or that at. And, whatever, I'll just put in there the same temperature. 350, let's go. Let's see, washing dishes. Screw the dishes. So I use compostable paper bowls for mine. So I literally don't do the dishes. Purchasing fluorescent light bulbs. I don't know the last time I purchased a fluorescent light bulb, actually. Now I have to think about that. Remembering names. So inherently, I am very bad at remembering names, but if I decide I need to remember a person's name, then I usually can. For instance, there's a neighbor around here who's his name is Ruben. And passing by, oh, hey, what's your name? Oh, I'm Lindsay. Oh, I'm Ruben. Oh, nice to meet you. And I was like, okay, I'm going to remember this name, so I'm not that person who doesn't remember the name, right? And so I was like, okay, every time I see this person, I'm just going to think sandwich. And if I think sandwich, it'll make me remember Ruben, because that's kind of sandwich. And so I haven't forgot his name. I haven't forgot his name yet. But I don't do that for everyone. Hello, friend who says they're new to the channel. Welcome. Ooh, your INTJ X tried to catch a knife and can't feel her little finger anymore. Yeah. Yep. I cut the pad of this finger right before my base jury when I was in college, which is like where you have to play you have to play your music very well. And I was there on a music scholarship, and I had like the week before just sliced it open, trying to open up a package of cheese. And by the day of the jury, it was still bloody, but it was tolerable. But the few days before, when I was trying to practice, my teacher was just like, yeah, just stop playing. It's blood everywhere. Oh yes, this is a live shindig. Almost I'm proud of how things are going. I feel like I'm starting to kind of relax a little bit. Takes a minute. I haven't hardly eaten any of my food. I do have Dragon Crisps, and I have some sweet ones, or Smart Sweets, which are, it's like healthy candy, you know, but they're actually really good. All right, so what if you call him Sandwich accidentally? Oops. This one, yeah. I'd like to think that I wouldn't call him Sandwich, but if it did, oh gosh, I think I would probably just run away. Like, oh gosh, I can never see that neighbor again. He knows I called him Sandwich, and then he probably makes a connection that I was because his name is Ruben. You know, one thing leads to another, and you just have to move out of the whole neighborhood. Okay, so. All right, if I were a professional wrestler, what would my name be? Or if you were a professional wrestler, what would your name be? If I were a professional wrestler, what would my name be? I don't really know the kind of names that professional wrestlers go by, but I'm guessing that there are certain kind of, oh, like The Rock. Okay. Anyone? I don't know much about, or don't care much about wrestling. Let's see. Okay, all right, let's see. Let's get on this side of the deck. All right, here's a good one. What excuse would I use to get out of jury duty? What excuse would I use to get out of jury duty? Or what excuse would you use to get out of jury duty? I have gotten out of jury duty before, and I wasn't even really trying to get out of it, but I'll tell you how to get out of it. You ask a question that the lawyers don't want to answer. So the last time I was on the jury selection thingy, whatever, I was like, you know what? I've never been on a jury before. Let's just see what happens. I'm not going to intentionally try to sabotage, you know, me not getting selected. I'm not going to try either. And so they asked some question about, or to me, that if between this police officer's explanation of what happened, after this police officer giving his explanation of what happened, would that be enough for me to come to a conclusion on the verdict? And I said, well, that would depend. I was like, was there someone else other than the police officer at the scene of the crime? And then the judge just goes, don't answer that. And like him and like, he's like, calls everyone to the front of the room, and they all like scurry back there. He's talking, they're talking. And then they come back and they're like, we can't answer that question, or you're not allowed to answer, you're not allowed to ask that question, or something like that. And just kind of like, that was it. And I didn't give an answer because I was like, well, my answer would depend on if there was someone else present, you know, because if we're just getting one side of what happened, that's not really fair to be able to make a conclusion based on, you know? So yeah, that's how you get out of jury duty, is ask a question that They don't want to answer. You would get sent home immediately? Why would you get sent home immediately? You'd make them answer. I mean, yep. Yeah, they weren't a fan. And I knew I was getting towards the end of the selection because they were going back between me and probably like a few other people with like the repeated questions. And after that question, they didn't ask me anymore. Okay, so let's see. Nope, that was the wrong pile. Ooh, here's an interesting one. So what do I have an excessive amount of? What do I have an excessive amount of? Or what do you have an excessive amount of? Personality? You guys don't know how long it took me to wink with only one eye, by the way. I used to only be able to wink with both of my eyes at the same time. And this past year, I've been consciously trying to only do it. So I can do it with my left, but I can't do it with my right. Left, left. But I don't think I'm doing it with my right. So what do I have an excessive amount of is the question. Silence. Skin noodles. Yes, my skin noodles need to be trimmed. Let me tell you what, it's been a long time. Silence. Stress. Yeah. Well, you guys are nice. Death stare. Radio controlled aircrafts. Thoughts. Yep, true. Candles. Can you do too many candles? You have a lot of dreams. I mean, definitely. Sure, thoughts for sure. I'm trying to think of like a sensory thing though, because the abstract stuff is easy. I have an excessive amount of vitamins, I think would probably be the one. Also have an excessive amount of these lemon protein bars that are so good. And I'm afraid of running out of them. Because they're probably like 2 meals of my day. Not 2, like at least 1. All right, so. Okay. What job would I be absolutely horrible at? You can either answer for me or answer for you. What job? There we go. Now we can read the card. Good gracious. Oh, nope, I spoke too soon. Okay. What job would I be absolutely horrible at? What job would I be absolutely horrible? I can think of a few. You guys can answer for yourselves too. So I would be horrible at retail. Anything in sales. It depends. If I was selling the right thing, it would have to be very specific. I could probably, convince the person, but if it's like a general sales thing where you have to give effort into convincing someone to buy something, I just be like, I wouldn't buy it either. Don't buy it. You don't need things. So I would be horrible at retail. What other jobs would I not be good at? Probably like, I would also be like a bad like bridal dress salesperson. Oh, that's still sales. I'm just trying to think of where people like need that like that super pumped up, extroverted, happy energy, sustained. Anything that's in that kind of job realm would be tricky for me. What job would I be absolutely assembly? Ooh, solid answer. Yeah. I mean, we just talked about IKEA not that long ago, but an assembly role would be pretty horrible. Waitress. Oh yeah, waitress. Good one. It's another thing I haven't done. I think the hard thing about waitress is like you would always have to like. It's like if you're trying to work and get tips, like you have to really put on the like a good face and just like yeah, like what do you guys want? Like I'm super cool. Like you know whatever this and that thing. Oh, cool hat. I also like the sports team. You know, and so you have to play that game, and that it's an art in itself. And I really respect people who can do it and make that work for them. But I wouldn't be one. Cruise ship activity director. Unless you can just direct people to do the strangest activities, you know? Like you're just like, you create an activity for people to do. And you're like, we're going to play human checkers. So pick either red or black and curl yourself up in a little ball on this giant checkerboard on the front deck. Who's ready? Who's going to push grandma over to spot 1A? And just troll the whole cruise ship. Let's see. Stand-up comedian. There's actually a few INTJ stand-up comedians, which is interesting. I think they really pull from like their own FI, and they have a very different style than other comedians when it comes to they're trying to, the INTJ comedians are trying to illustrate a bigger point in their comedy. They're trying to give a message by using comedy, and but the message, it's not just about the joke. It's not just about getting you to laugh. It's about you like laughing through an experience and then just being like, haha, realizing you're laughing at something like yourself, or you're laughing at a bigger contextual thing that's happening in the world. And then kind of like, so it's kind of funny, but it also kind of kicks your ass. So I do support that kind of comedy. Yeah, Hassan Minaj, exactly. Mm-hmm. You want to go on that cruise? Yeah, it'd be a really interesting cruise to go on, for sure. Human checkers, human chess. Let's see. Ooh, what was last in my Google search? Or you can answer it for yourself. What was last in your what was last in your Google search? What was last in my Google search? We're gonna find out the right answer, folks. We're not just about to, let's see. Show full history, here we go. Last thing in my Google search was, I wasn't using Google much today. Oh, it's not really that interesting. I was looking for the Google domain site, and so I searched domains Google into Google to get me the link. That's not really very fun. Yeah, but that's the answer, so I guess that's what you get. Does anyone else have a better one? I usually have better ones, but How to be an e-girl. The fatty acid composition of grapeseed oil. See, Crystal, that is the kind of stuff that would normally be in my in my Google search, for sure. Oh, that's an interesting question. Are ESFPs really open to change? So I think the idea of open to change versus actually changing are different things. So I've seen a lot of the ESFPs, what they're doing is changing their reality and progressing in some way or in some direction. And so they're constantly moving. Now, if it's like, oh, open to changes if someone else is suggesting it, or it's from like some other outside influence, then, I think it'll depend. But I think it's really more ESFPs are moving, changing, upgrading, diversifying their sensory world, and they're changing versus being open to it, I guess. Ah, there we go. So there's an ESFP answering. Depends if I think it's reasonable to change. There you go. You really like to change things a lot, actually. Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of like, yeah, you're the one who is, deciding if it's a valuable change for you to make or not. So am I afraid of stalkers and large crowds at all? I don't prefer large crowds just because it's loud, and it's usually like gross. If I think about like a large crowd, there's just too much going on. So I wouldn't say I'm afraid. I just would rather not. Afraid of stalkers. I wouldn't say I'm very like fearful, but I do protect my, location, privacy, stuff like that, just because, yeah, people can want to find you sometimes. So, but not super concerned over it. No one can find me. Yes, I am still going. Hello. Look, we're an hour and 12 minutes in. So I'm doing good so far. I think we should open up a snack, even though I only had one chip from my chip collection. Yes, I'm glad the ESFP is here. I like getting alternate perspective. Do I get a lot of unwanted, uncomfortable attention? Not really. I don't know from who, because it's like I'm not really out anywhere in the real world, and then I'm here on the internet, but it's about the only place I live, and most people are pretty fine, LiJstream was afraid to box me, even though I agreed to carry extra weight like a horse to disadvantage myself. Listen, you know what? I can wrestle because I can leverage my body weight well. Boxing is another thing. I don't have much thrust behind these guns, okay? So, and even if I trained, I don't think I would have enough thrust. But, what was it, donkey water polo that we were gonna do instead? I'm still up for that, so. Okay. Oh, all right. Am I a glucose person, a protein person, or a sodium person? Well, let's see. I would say, oh no, this light is doing weird things. Okay. I'm a glucose person, but I have shifted that so I do not consume very much glucose these days. Uh, it's just too much, you know? So more plant-based protein and sodium, but within balance. So I'm kind of a nothing person, I guess is the fun answer that I've come to. But I think without me consciously balancing, it would be glucose over the others. So thank you, Mr. Dog. Question: I run a YouTube channel. Congrats for sticking it out. But I find when listening back to audio that my speech patterns feels choppy. I need to about making my speech pattern more natural sounding. I'm an INTJ. You know, I think that there's this kind of, I don't know how long you've had your channel for, but I know, you know, even like the first year of me listening to myself back and watching myself back, it was kind of this out of body experience of being like, that's me. I sound that way. I'm saying that much. I am saying whatever. That's how my mouth looks when it's talking. It's strange. But I think what happens is over time you kind of get numb to those things, and also the repetition in the sensory does kind of smooth things out. I don't talk a ton outside of YouTube. And it's really funny because it's like I have this one outlet where I save a lot of my words for, because I have a lot of things to say in this funnel of where my content is, you know, derived from. But outside of that, it really depends. I'm really, someone in my family said the other day, they're like, Lindsay, you're the most introverted person I've ever met in my entire life. And I was like, wow, that was quite a statement considering I have a YouTube channel. But I understand what they were saying, because in the real life scenarios, it's just, I'm not talking unless there's a reason for it. So I think it does make the whole talking thing weird, but yeah, just continue to do it. I think it will smooth out eventually. Sometimes it can help to listen to someone who has a really good speech pattern and be like, okay, well, how are they phrasing things? What is the, almost if you looked at their speech pattern as like a musical phrase, as a song in itself of how it's getting from A to B, and be like, okay, how can I maybe mimic that song through my own phrasing as I'm talking, you know? And just, if you think about that a little bit here and there, those things will kind of seep into actually putting it out there. But good question. That's a good suggestion. Try reading aloud something for speed rather than meeting and what have. Ignore all punctuation and pretend it's a debate speed drill. In other words, work on delivery backwards. Great suggestion. Oh, someone wants to know about how do you contact me about the Carl Jung PDF? Just send me an email, Lindsay at LINDSAY at snug. I'll just put it here. I'll send you an email with it. Watching this live stream is actually your social studies homework. Nice. Okay. What is my favorite movie? I don't know. I haven't watched very many movies. Inception was great. The other thing is like I feel like a lot of the movies I've seen, I've just forgotten what they are. So like the only movie right now I can think of is even Inception. So maybe that's it. Yeah, from Carl Young Psychological Types. I got it for free. It's available free on the internet, but I can send it to you if you want. So I don't know what Unforgiven is, so I don't know. Maybe I would like it, but I don't know what it is. If you send me emails, make them limited because I don't have a long tolerance for reading things. Consume last. Yeah, probably psychological thrillers or like sci-fi, I think are cool. I've seen some cool sci-fi movies. But psychological thrillers, definitely. Thank you, Winston's mom. Yeah, the recipient doesn't have to pay attention to it. Boom. Yeah, I have a small attention span for reading. Bubble water is fantastic. How am I doing with my coffee? I could be doing better. Hold on. Quick coffee break. All right. So, hello, thank you. I don't know if you guys remember like some of my first streams I ever did, but they were very stressful because I was like, all right, am I supposed to answer all these questions, read all the, just having to read and talk at the same time? Just about almost killed me, I think, my first stream. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but still, that was overwhelming. And then ever since I was like, you know what, I don't have to read. I can't read everything. My brain can't read the thing and then talk and then, make sure I don't spill coffee all over myself all at the same time. So I'll read what I can read. And that has made streaming far easier. Need more coffee? Yes, I know. Currently it is 8:30 where I am. And we're going strong, folks. All right. Okay, let me get more of these. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's see. What would I do to pass the time if I was stuck in an elevator for hours? Answer me that one. What would I do to pass the time if I was stuck in the elevator for hours? Or what would you do? Not to answer for myself, but I will. If I had my phone, assuming that I would probably write, like dictate some videos or just type out some videos. So, hey, thank you. No one's ever donated that much money to me before. I appreciate that. I would try to say her name, but I'm not going to say it right, so I'll just say thank you instead. Seeing or watch YouTube if you had the internet, yeah. Yeah, if you had a Wi-Fi or signal. Okay, so if you don't have Wi-Fi, what would you do in the elevator for hours? If you don't have Wi-Fi, ponder. That's fair. Hawk. Yeah, hawk, hawk, hawk. Thank you, Hawk. Journal or read. Hopefully you have a bag with something in it. Complain. Talk to yourself. Stuck alone or with other. Let's just say you're alone. You're alone in the elevator for hours. What are you doing? No Wi-Fi signal. You got your phone, no Wi-Fi signal, and you have 19% battery. Establish a peak corner. That's what I'm talking about right here, folks. I mean, let's assert our dominance in at least one side of the elevator, okay? This is our territory. Whoever comes in next is gonna know it. Sleep, that's good. Books on your phone. Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah, you've alerted the authorities. They know that you're in there, but there was just this crazy malfunction with the elevator glide shaft chain that has made it so that you can't go up or down. They're trying to unfreeze the device and the other thing. So gotta wait. Dominance against who? You're alone. Exactly. Against the ego. Okay. Ooh, here's an interesting. Feel free to answer this for yourself too. What is something that I wish I had never found out about? What is something that I wish I had never found out about? I feel like it's kind of hard not to find out about things. I actually don't know how to answer this one. Typology. Yep, it's a deep, dark hole. Dive right in. You're never getting out. Yeah, I'm going to do some more of the 8 cognitive functions videos. The reason I had kind of stopped doing those is a few reasons. My green screen sucked, and it was horrendous to get the chroma key to work properly with it. The other reason is that I had 3 lights. One of them died, and that was the one that was lighting the green screen, and you can't use a green screen that looks good without proper light. So I will do some more. I have 3 lights yet again. I just haven't gotten to it. Hey, Dalen, nice to see you. Actually, more how much e-girls make. There's been several references to e-girls, and I don't think I understand enough about what is relevant about them. So if anyone wants to chime in about the whole e-girl thing as it relates to money, or I don't know, other stuff. Sorry, I'm sinking into the couch again. That's why I'm slowly getting lower down the screen. All right, so. Ooh. I'm trying to think how it is. Okay, so what is the most embarrassing way I've injured myself? What is the most embarrassing way I've injured myself? You can respond as well for yourself. This is the most embarrassing way I have injured. It was probably the time I fell into the boat engine hole, the boat engine room when I was trying to chase a fly. Some of you guys may have heard that in one of my older videos where I was talking about my sensory fails. But yeah, it was at my first job. I was illegally working at the ripe young age of 14 years old. And I worked at the beach. I took a ferry to work. I worked at a little snack stand and played poker for most of the day with the dock kids. And I was being harassed by flies one day. They were just freaking everywhere. And I was on this dire mission to like kill every fly I could possibly find. And I saw a big fat one at the end of the ferry boat, and I jumped on the bow. And I just saw it at the end of the boat, and I was like, I'm gonna get that fly no matter what. And so I just had my eyes on the fly, slowly approaching so that I could get it. All of a sudden, Lindsay's gone. Where did she fall? The boat was getting maintenance done on it. The center of the boat was open. The engine room, which is in the whole center of the boat, was open. And I had no idea because I was not looking down. And I just fell straight in there, 6 feet down. The dock also had plenty of people on it who just didn't see me get on, and they also saw me fall. And so that was probably the most embarrassing way I've injured myself. The boat captain was very concerned. I was okay. E-girls, I think they live stream, pretend to play video games, and dress in skimpy clothing for tons of male viewers. Gotcha. Okay. And I'm guessing there's money in that. Dalen says, missing putting my glass on the coffee table in front of me while watching Mary Poppins, and then my momentum into the said table made me split my eyebrow. Oh my gosh. Oh no, and the ER doc accidentally glued your, wow. That is just a ripple effect of demon sensory madness. Scream says, the e-girls are providing a service. Leave them alone. Crystal said she was sleeping and her foot got caught between her bed frame and her mattress. Hello, Anthony. Welcome. We're just talking about embarrassing injuries that we've gotten in the past. So, you know. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. What do I exaggerate about the most? What do I exaggerate about the most? I'm actually interested. What do I exaggerate about the most? I'm sure I do it. I don't know. That's kind of blocked my own bias because I wouldn't consciously exaggerate something, but I'm sure that I do. Context. The e-girls usually have boyfriends. Okay, that's interesting. Whoever brings the best snack gets to eat it. Yep. Yeah, what snacks did everyone bring? I brought Smart Sweets. And these Dragon Crisps. Delicious. Time. Yeah. Oh, good one. I do exaggerate time quite a bit. But it's the most valuable resource. How could I not exaggerate it? Anger? Is that me exaggerating anger, or are you exaggerating anger? How can an INTJ learn to flirt? How can an INTJ learn to flirt? Probably, I would say that like, okay, you're asking specifically learn to flirt. I have to answer that question. Probably what would be helpful is to watch someone who is really good at the flirting game. One or two things that you think that you could apply in a good variety of situations and kind of put those in your back pocket. And so that when you're in a circumstance, okay, yeah, be yourself, whatever, have those available so that if you have to pull out the whatever tool or trick that is, you at least have some things and that will give you a little bit more confidence in the situation. That would be my best suggestion. But my real answer is I really don't know the best way to do it, so maybe someone else knows better. Would you say you feel like you have to exaggerate a smile or an emotion because the emotion has not yet arrived? Interesting you should ask this question, because I realized people who are on the TIFE axis are looking for visual change. They're looking for emotional dynamic, right? And especially if they have sensory, they will be looking for you to change your expression to know if they're doing the right thing or not, right? Or that everything's okay or not. And especially if FE is not high and is actually low and they're kind of insecure about it, then they'll get even more flustered if you're not giving them some kind of response on the emotional spectrum, because they're just like, what did I screw up, If they care, right? Not everyone cares about everything all the time. But so if I'm around someone who I know is like, they need FE, just for the fact so that we don't have to have a conversation about why I'm mad, when I'm not mad, when I'm not upset about anything, I'm just being normal faced. If I know that's that kind of person, I will give a quick smile. I'll give a, because it just makes life easier. And I'm not here to try to work harder. I'm not here to talk about how my normal face is my normal face and I'm not mad about anything. So that's my answer. To flirt, you'd have to be sassy but not intrusive. I mean, I feel like that's kind of in my nature. A little sassy, not intrusive. Maybe sometimes not sassy enough, depends. Interested in starting a new, more public YouTube channel, you probably die. All right, a little exaggerated, my friend. If you had to use your real face and voice. Do you know what? These sensory skin bags that we're in doesn't really mean that much, okay? It's the content, it's the meaning of the things you're putting out there. If you put some real good juice into that, and you put some real thoughtfulness into that, I mean, this is all just the flesh bag, just some skin noodles, So I wouldn't let that concern you too much, And there's going to be someone that resonates with your message no matter how you appear on camera. So don't let that deter you. There's my inspiration. All right. Why are INTJs always called villains? So I would say I was always kind of like, yeah, INTJs, villains, the whole thing. It's just, I understand from like the planning standpoint of if someone has the wrong intentions, they can plan a good way into the future to get the kind of result that they will want. And if that is malicious, that is malicious. However, I think the next level of this is that, and something I've really been processing, is that NI is acting all the time without us being aware of what it is doing. My NI is making connections in my mind. They're happening in the background. And my actions are being dictated by things I'm not even consciously aware of or getting me to the place where I want to go. So because of that, there are circumstances in which I think the INTJ will all of a sudden take a moment and realize, like, okay, was I actually okay with that? Was I actually okay with how that went on? Kind of checking against their FI, because our NI is a few steps ahead of even our own. NI is a few steps ahead of even what we're seeing as being real, and that's a hard thing to explain. I think that if you're an INTJ who's been studying this stuff and you have some years behind you, you may know what I'm talking about, but when you actually like see that and begin to understand it, it's kind of terrifying to realize what your NI is doing. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, so, ooh, here's an interesting one. Personality related. If my personality were something you could buy on Amazon, what would it be? If my personality were something you could buy on Amazon, what would it be? A toolbox? Ah, I like the way you think. The chick from the Muppets band, what is that? It would be Bitcoin and it would not be on Amazon. A sledgehammer. No, I haven't consumed Sam Hyde's content. Who is it? If my personality were something you could buy on Amazon, what could it be? What would it be? I think the toolbox one was probably pretty accurate. But it's a toolbox of invisible tools. They're abstract tools. So you're promised a lot of good things in that toolbox, and then someone buys it really excited and they open it up and they're like, there's nothing inside. And it's like a small disclaimer at the bottom that says, all tools are conceptual and can be applied to a variety of situations. Please realize there's no actual sensory in this box. A high-tech vacuum. Oh, interesting. A good vacuum is great, you know? Who can deal with all that sensory hair chaos? Not I. Yours would be melted chocolate. All right. I think I actually did say something about, well, okay. I think in an old stream I said something about this. So Come on, camera. What future invention am I really looking forward to? What future invention am I really looking forward to? I definitely have something in mind for this. It's not realistic yet, the day that it is. And like, okay, yeah, sure, you can say like the quantum computer that actually works, you know, sure, you can talk about that kind of stuff, but I'm talking everyday practical with this one right now. But yeah, quantum computing is definitely, you know. The future invention I'm really looking forward to. I'm not better for your pickings. Okay, Crystal's kind of on the right. So I want a vehicle that requires zero maintenance. I'm talking no oil change, no new windshield wipers, no air filters, nothing. I want to be able to get in my transportation device and never have to take it to a dealership or an oil change place or anything ever again. Because that is the most annoying thing. You get back into the pattern of life, everything is good, and then all of a sudden your oil change light comes on, your tire pressure light comes on, your check engine light comes on. If it's a good day, all of a sudden all of the lights on your dashboard come on. And now you have to go get the diagnosis, see what's wrong. Oh no, it's the hybrid battery. That's gonna cost $2,000, you know? And I'm really looking forward to the day when cars don't require that, or whatever the transportation is. Teleportation, yes, I'm in. So, okay, but the Tesla still does require some maintenance. It still has a battery in it, and the batteries don't last forever. Now, Tesla is definitely closer, for sure, but I want like the whole deal. I want like never. I don't want to ever bring that thing in for anything. And I want the tires to never go flat. Self-rebuilding cars. Yes, yep, well said. Solar panels on phones. You can actually get a solar panel, you know, those, what's it called? The battery packs. You can get those solar powered. It takes a long time for them to charge, but you can get a solar powered battery bank and use your phone to charge it. So there's that. Okay. All right, this one's for the NE users. What does the acronym HOT stand for? H-O-T. What does the acronym HOT stand for? Give me your best answers. H-O-T. What does it stand for here on this channel? First thing that came to my mind was horrific omnipresent turtles. Hotel Oscar Tango. High on tacos. All right. There we go. Good one. Hard on table. Oh, ouch. Huh. High on time. Love it. HOT, what does it stand for? 1, 2, 3. Nice thoughts. Ah, help on time. House of Toast. House of Toast. House of Toast could be a thing. I mean, it could either be a museum where everything is toast related, everything is made of toast or some variety of toasted bread, or toasted things that are not just bread. Or high on toast can be a toasty bread grillery in which you can get the best toasted anything. You guys are good at this one. I'm glad I asked it. Okay. All right. What would I, good gracious, Lindsay. What would I choose to be paid with if money wasn't an option? What would I choose to be paid with if money wasn't an option? I have one in my head that I thought of right away that made me laugh, and I'm wondering if anyone will say it. What would I choose to be paid with if money wasn't an option? Time is good. Potatoes. Yeah, time is probably will be like the actual answer. Lemon bars, now we're talking. Croissants. So when I first read this, and like this wouldn't be my actual answer, but when I read this, what would I choose to be paid with if money was an option? I was like, allegiance. Yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, time would be the real answer. So good job to whoever answered that. Ah. Okay, what is something I've rated 10 out of 10? What is something I've rated 10 out of 10? You guys should know this answer. There's something very specific in my life that I rate 10 out of 10. Does anyone remember what it is? Doesn't really matter though. Ugh. We're done with the coffee at 9 p.m. Something I would rate 10 out of 10? Okay. No one's, oh, yes! Yep, Jem got it. The water bottle. Never far away. Kick this puppy down the stairs, your water doesn't go everywhere. I don't think a lot of, if you're not someone, especially with Demon Feminine Sensory, but if you're not someone who just kicks stuff over all of the time, knocks things, the water bottle will mean nothing to you. You shouldn't consider it, okay? If you're someone that has had cups, even sealable cups, that you bring with you and you just knock it over and all the liquid goes all in your car, all over the wherever, all over the everything, you know, all over yourself. Having a screwable squeegee lid to keep your beverages locked in place, it's just the best gift because you just never have to worry about everything becoming wet. Which is funny because someone recently told me, they were like, Lindsay, why is everything you ever, and they're like, yeah, I mean, I've noticed it for a long time, but I just never asked you why everything you always hand me is ever wet. If I ask for a napkin, it's damp. If I ask for like a fork, it's damp. And I'm just like, oh. And it's true. Okay, so what is the difference between a standard INTJ and a jumper? I think I hit this in the very beginning of the stream, but basically that's the difference between Dave and I, and essentially it is with NIFI INTJ jumpers, they're going to be prioritizing more of their value, what's important to them, what kind of their processed direction is of their likes and desires, and they're going to care less about keeping the temperature of the tribe. For myself, I will avoid more emotional, topics that are a little bit closer to me because I don't want to deal with people's like feeling reactions. So those who are jumping the TE, they're more secure, more strong with the FI, with the feeling spectrum. And so they will hit things that will bring up larger flares, either from themselves or from others, just because they're more versed in dealing with the emotions. I will just avoid stuff because I don't want to deal with other people's emotions. And that's just kind of one instance, but I think it's a good starting point. So. Hand behind the card, okay. Why is everything wet? I think everything is wet is because like I don't really utilize a towel very well. So if I'm washing my hands or I'm washing a thing off or whatever in the kitchen, I just go grab the other thing. I don't really dry stuff, you know? Okay, so we're gonna do like one or two more of these questions and then girls tapping out. All right, give me your best one for this. Wait, let me do the Daylem. What is my biggest pet peeve? What is my biggest pet peeve? There's a few of these. I think the most general one, and probably the one that's most relatable to a lot of you, is when people call me instead of text. Or they don't let me know why they're calling. And then I'm just like, is this really important? Is this an emergency that I have to pick up? Or can I ignore it, as would be my preference? Difficult to open plastic packaging. Yes, that's definitely a big one. People wasting time. Yes, absolutely. Oh, someone asking for advice and help and then turning around and not applying it. It's like, yeah, I just use my I just use my vocal cords for your benefit, and you're just gonna go ahead and not apply that valuable information. Okay, fine. People who send me messages on Slack with just hi. You're like, Hello? Hey. Yes, yes. Just write the question instead of waiting for me to be there. Thank you. Just, you don't have to say hi. Just be like, hey, I was looking into this ticket and I don't understand X, Y, Z. Can you let me know about Z since you were the one who worked on that last? Yeah, sure. No problem. No time is wasted. I'm with you. Ooh, fantastic question. Why is it? Oh, there we go. Okay. What is my biggest pet peeve in the typology community? Where do I start? I think my biggest, okay, so umbrella of the question would be, my biggest pet peeve in the typology community would be the fact that cognition is so often addressed as behavioral, and it's not. So people will focus on behaviors versus the direction in which thought is flowing and developing. So, and those of you who watch the INTJ MBTI groups in real life, that's really was the premise of that whole, sketch, was that typology isn't behavioral, it's cognitive. And so when there's all these questions about like, I wear a red hat, does that make me not an INTJ? That's such a pet peeve. And I understand that people are often new and they don't understand that part of it yet. But I wish it just came with a disclaimer that kind of put those questions to rest so that people could really focus on where it is a valuable tool. And where it is a valuable tool is not on if your hat is red, if you are or not an INTJ. So. Yeah, potential poll question for sure. Okay. People who can't tell the difference between sarcasm and lying. Yeah. For sure. I feel like most people get my sarcasm though, thankfully. And do you know what? There is a weird kind of sarcasm, but I don't think it's sarcasm. There's a weird thing that certain people do. People who are very like factual about things anyway, and then they'll change up what the fact is that they're saying in order to be a joke, but it's not funny. I don't understand what that is. That's something else. I don't think it's with FI either. I think it's a different, I don't know. It's not that you have a red hat. It's the cognition behind you buying a red hat to wear. Do you know what? I don't think cognition, I can't even, my cognition isn't telling me to buy the red hat now. The cognition may tell me that color is valuable and it's important, but I just don't like it. All right, goodbye. Nice to see you. How should we track self-bias for personal perceived value types in typing once we kick out the behavioral tracking? So with your own bias, right? And I think actually the behavioral tracking really just like it kicks up the own bias more, and that's very hard to escape. But you have to see through the behaviors, through the sensory, through the instance of things happening, and look at the person's story as a greater picture. Because when you're looking at the person as a greater picture, like their life, the narratives within their life, the motives within their life, the approaches within their life as a whole, you start to get a view of what their cognitive process actually looks like. But if you just focus on one instance, if you focus on, oh, well, they did this specific sensory thing, it's too specific for you to actually get any information out of it, because you're not tracking a pattern, you're looking at a thing. And so when you start overall narrative, what is the overall story? What is behind this person and what they are actioning and why? Then I think that becomes a better method for typing and just understanding type as a whole. INTJs are easy to spot. Just look for someone who is trying too hard to be hidden, is totally obvious, oblivious of their surroundings, and looks like they've not slept for 2 days. Yeah, I often wonder how much I look like I haven't slept. I usually sleep a few hours every night, but the caffeine is motivation. I really do need to take a stimulant sabbatical, though. I don't want to, but I need to. It's healthy. Yes, Yoshi. Hello. It's easier to find someone's type by looking at what they hate and fear. Yes, that's a great kind of hack to at least getting them to either talk about, or when you can identify those hates and fears, that tells a big story in itself. Because the fear is really the trigger of, like, there's this fear as it relates to our bottom functions, and that comes across so weird. Sometimes, like, things you fear, you try to like peacock and like do really well, and then you crash and burn on, you know, or you just get weird talking about them, or there's all ways that can manifest. But there's so much information in the fear, which is why I love talking about it. Okay. Okay, one more question. The coffee is gone, and so am I. Let's see. Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know if I know the answer, though. Okay, this is a good one. You can answer it for yourself. What is the most embarrassing thing I've ever Googled? What is the most embarrassing thing I've ever Googled? Gosh. I'm sure there's definitely some good ones out there. I have Googled quite a bit of things in my life. Probably some spellings of some things that, you ever just look at a word, and it's happened to me with the word the, T-H-E, right? And you look at the word and you're like, has this always been spelled this way? Like, am I just not Have I just not realized how this looks when it's spelled? And then you Google it just to make sure that that's how the word actually is supposed to look. Or that it's not another word that looks the same as it. Sometimes they'll have that happen to me. Has that ever happened to you? Because that happened with me with the word that before. And I was like, E? I know, it's odd, but it's almost like a momentary like signal loss. And then then you're like, oh yeah, like of course this is what the words always look like. But it's like you're actually seeing it in the sensory for the first time really. That will happen to me with certain sensory things. All of a sudden I'll actually, my foot and just be like, is that my foot has always looked like? Is that what interesting. Okay, everyone's saying they do it. Thank goodness. I had a feeling I wasn't alone on that one, but it's a strange phenomenon. What are some other words where I've done that? I can't think of any. I think were was one of them. Were, W-E-R-E. And I forgot like how I was looking at it or how I wanted to spell it, but it was just like not there. Like were was not, it was not computing for that moment. And sure enough, you like put in a sentence, you're like, okay, that's right. Has were always looked that way? Very strange. Horrible. Yeah. You just suddenly forgot how to write Python. Frustrating. It's his language in and of itself. You don't bother ever trying to spell properly. Yeah. Well, it's fine. Like spelling mistakes are fine, right? But I'm talking about like, is this even the same realm of the word that I'm thinking of right now? It's that kind of like temporary mind jump. Obnoxious. Yeah, you expect people to have enough intuition. You should know what I'm trying to say here, so use that intuition. It's funny, if any of you were in OP in the class this week, Shan had mentioned like NI saviors as being like unapologetic with the NI and the and kind of like the analogy, and whereas people have it in like an inferior or demon position, they'll like kind of apologize for like making an analogy almost, or like, I know this sounds weird, like, this is kind of crazy, but if you think about it this way, and I was like, oh, that's so true. Like, I'm so unapologetic with my analogies. I'm just like, yeah, well, this is how that concept plays out, and I'm going to use like spoons. So it's your responsibility to understand it. Oh, you rejoined OP. Nice. Okay, guys. Well, it's been a wonderful 2 hours with you. I have reached my capacity for talking, and I've also drank a lot of liquids, so I'm going to go. I hope you guys have a great night, and I will see you in other internet things.